Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of Brownstown VFW Post 9770 and Northside Christian Church, I would like to welcome everyone to our Veterans Day service. Color guards, present colors. Everybody please rise. Color guard pose. Present arms. Order arms. Color guard retire. Everybody please take your seats. Today's Veterans Day service, or today's Veterans Day is Veterans Day. Boy, I'm having a hard time getting started, and I apologize. Today is Veterans Day, a day to remember all veterans who have served our country in the military, protecting and defending our great nation. If it was not for these veterans, we would not enjoy the freedoms we have. So on this day, when you bump into a veteran, please tell him or her thank you for their unselfishness service. It takes sacrifice and dedication to serve in the military. These two attributes is why our military members and veterans are the best in the world. Without these two attributes, our military will not be the force that it is today and has been in the past. It is these attributes that drive our military members to protect and defend our nation and world of tyranny that we live. On behalf of a grateful nation with gratitude, we thank all veterans who have served this great nation. We are in debt for your service and our ability to live and enjoy the freedoms. We owe you an eternity for your service. A couple of real quick things I'd like to bring up. Unfortunately, yesterday was services for Floyd Muskie. Floyd just passed away just a few days ago. Floyd was a World War II veteran, served at the Battle of Bulge. If you didn't know Floyd, Floyd can tell you some interesting stories on his time in Europe during World War II. I just go ahead. I'd like to announce another individual here, Raymond Allender. If I said that correct, he served in World War II during World War II. He retired after 30 years. Today is Raymond's 93rd birthday. Jimmy, everybody see this picture. At this moment, Carl, can you come forward, please?
Greetings, everybody. You know, one of the things I was always asked, and quite often, quite frankly, is can one be a Christian and still serve in the military? Because doesn't the scripture say that thou shalt not kill? And I was asked that, and I know I get asked that a lot now, especially as a minister. And my answer to that usually is, well, I go back to the Old Testament. You know, Moses, he was actually the commander of the army of Israel when he led the folks in the Exodus. And also you got King David. He was a military man. But one of the most important scriptures, I think, comes from Joshua. When Joshua took the Israelites into the Promised Land, when they finally crossed the Jordan River, he went to scout out, which is a good military tactic to recon the area before you attack it. He goes to scout out the area, Jericho, and who's he meet? He comes upon a man standing in the middle of the trail with a sword in his hand. And Joshua asked him, are you a friend of mine or one of our enemies? And the man looked at him and says, neither. He says, I'm a commander in the army of God. Take off your sandals, you are on holy ground. And it said that Joshua immediately fell face down in the mud, right in the dirt. So that angel was a commander of the army of God. And then, of course, I think of the New Testament. I get into the New Testament. You look in the New Testament, you see 3 examples in the New Testament of soldiers that expressed great faith in Jesus Christ. The very first one was a Roman centurion that came to Jesus. And he says, you know, I've got a servant in my household very sick. And I know you can heal him. And Jesus says, I'll go to your house and heal this man. And the man looks at him. The centurion says, I'm not worthy for you to even step foot into my house. But you are a man of authority, as I am a man of authority. I have authority over troops under me. I can tell a troop to do this, he does that. Yeah, anybody that's ever been in the military remembers that. I can tell a soldier to do this, do that, and he'll do it. Tell him jump, he won't even ask how high, he'll just do it and hope he does it high enough. Well, this soldier says that you're a man of authority like I am. I know you can command it and it will be done. And Jesus turned around and looked at all his disciples. He says, I haven't seen this kind of faith in all of Israel. And he told the soldier, he says, it'll be done as you ask. And then the next time is when Jesus is hanging from the cross and he gives up his spirit and he dies upon the cross, who was the very first person to recognize Jesus as the Son of God. It was the Roman centurion. When the earth shook, the skies got dark, he says, truly, this was the Son of God. And of course, then we know what happened when Peter went to Cornelius' house. Cornelius, of course, was a Roman centurion, and Cornelius dropped down at the feet of Peter when he got there. And Peter said, don't kneel before me, I'm just a man. But then at that time, that was where Peter realized that the salvation of Jesus Christ was not meant only for the Jews, but also for the Gentiles. So here in the New Testament, you have 3 examples of faith presented by soldiers. Soldiers, serve proud. Serve proud. Remember who the true commander is that you serve.
Amen. Robin Bradman, front and center, please.
Thought I was going to screw that up, didn't you?
I walked through a county courthouse square. On a park bench, an old man was sitting there. I said, your old courthouse is kind of run down. He said, nah, it'll do for our little town. I said, your flagpole has leaned a little bit, and that's a ragged old flag you got hanging on it. He said, have a seat, and I sat down. Is this the first time you've been to our little town? I said, I think it is. He said, I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that old ragged flag. You see, we got a little hole in the flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware. And it got powder burned the night Francis Scott Key sat watching it writing, oh say can you see. And it got a bad rip in New Orleans with Packenham and Jackson tugging at its seams. And it almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag, but she waved on through. She got cut with a sword at Chancellorsville, and she got cut again at Shiloh Hill. There was Robert E. Lee, Beauregard, and Bragg, and the old South wind blew hard on that old ragged flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a Bertha gun. She turned blood red in World War II. She hung limp and low by the time it was through. She was in Korea and Vietnam. She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam. She waved from our ships upon the briny foam, and now they've about quit waving her back here at home. In her own good land, she's been abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused. and the government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. And she's getting threadbare and wearing thin, but she's in good shape for the shape she's in. Because she's been through the fire before, and I believe she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up every morning, take her down every night. We don't let her touch the ground, and we fold her upright. On second thought, I do like to brag, because I'm mighty proud of that old ragged flag. Our guest speaker today served as a military policeman for 8 years in the United States Army. During this time, he completed 2 tours of duty, working in the prison camps in Guantanamo Bay. He also completed a deployment to Afghanistan, where he assisted in locating, capturing, and transporting terrorists around the world. He continues his service to our nation today by serving as a police officer for the Vandalia Police Department. Please welcome my favorite veteran and my husband, Blaine Redmond.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. First of all, three soldiers sitting right here, I want to say thank you for volunteering your service. Veterans Day was originally observed as Armistice Day. Armistice Day symbolized the end of the hostilities between forces in World War I, which fell on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. It was originally observed as a day of remembrance for those who gave their lives in World War I. It wasn't until 1954 that the holiday evolved into what it is known as today, or we know today as Veterans Day. Veterans Day evolved into a holiday that celebrates and honors the dedicated service of any person that dons a military uniform, thanks to Raymond Weeks. Weeks was a World War II veteran who led the way by pushing his grand idea of celebrating all service to General Eisenhower, who in turn backed Weeks and continued the fight for this great day. Each and every American views Veterans Day in a different light. Some view it simply as an extra day out of school or a day off work. Some view it as a day to get caught up on tasks that have been otherwise pushed aside. And others view it as a day to give thanks for the great and many freedoms that our country would not have if it weren't for those courageous men and women who put their lives on the line day in and day out. As for me, I have had the distinct privilege of viewing this day from many angles. I am guilty of taking advantage of that extra day off work or day off school. I have taken the extra day to get caught up on the tasks that I push aside. And after serving 8 long years in the Army, with multiple tours overseas, both Guantanamo Bay, Afghanistan, and many countries in between, I now give thanks. Though I give thanks in a very personal and secretive way, I give thanks nonetheless. I, along with every veteran here today, have seen rough times. We've had our ups and our downs. Some have and are still, in some ways, living through those rough times, even long after they've come home. I've been there. I've been where those men and women serving today have been. I feel their pain, their sorrows, their joys, and the pride every day from the moment I wake up till well after I lay down at night. I've seen the sadness in the eyes and on the faces of the mothers, fathers, sons, and brothers and sisters who have said goodbye not knowing the outcome of their service member's trip or if they will ever be given the chance to see each other again. I've seen the fear in the eyes of those young soldiers, first time a bullet flies or first time a bomb goes off in a war zone. I have stood on the front porch of that small town home in the heart of America and attempted to comfort a crying mother and father after telling them that their son is not coming home, and thanking them for his dedicated service. I have presented that folded flag to countless mothers and wives and fathers, including my own grandmother just 2 months ago. Veterans Day is most certainly viewed in different ways by all of those who observe this great day. but for me it is a day to give great thanks. Thanks to those who come before me, clearing the way for this nation's freedom during the Revolutionary War, those who fought for equality and freedom in the Civil War, those who stood strong against Germany in World War I, and the greatest nation of World War II, those Vietnam veterans, the Korean veterans, Desert Storm, Iraq and Afghanistan, and any war throughout the nation's history that I have not mentioned, without everyone doing their part. Thanks to everyone that supports this nation's veterans.
Before I, excuse me, give my closing remarks, one thing I like to bring up, and this is some, me, Carl, even Gene, who's on this chart, is encouraged, is for veterans that need assistance, you got nowhere to turn. Do not be afraid to approach any of us at that matter. Carl's got handouts in back somewhere. It's with the Veterans Outreach Center. And many times I find veterans may come home physically, but not always mentally. Whoops. Again, on behalf of the Brownstown VFW and Northside Christian Church, I would like to thank you all for coming out to our service.